What is up, guys? Thank you so much for being here. So today I just wanted to make a video about what's in my camera bag. I know that I personally really enjoy watching those kinds of videos because I like seeing what kind of like lenses and cameras and gear that people like to use, and sometimes it's even helpful because it'll kind of give me tips as to what I'm going to put in my camera bag, but mostly they're just fun to watch. So let me go ahead and show you what's in mine. My Gorilla Pod right here, which, I mean, super useful. You just need a little small tripod. I do want to get like a proper travel tripod eventually, because obviously this is only like a foot off the ground, but it's great for vlogging and just attaching to random things. Turn this guy around, and it's actually got a little pocket in the back right here, which is like kind of like a secret pocket. It's kind of nice. And so I'll keep my passport in there. That way if I am traveling, I mean, this is like the last spot people are gonna be able to get. Real quick, guys, before I get into the inside of the bag, I just wanna mention which backpack I'm using. So this is the Wandered Provoke 21 liter, because they have a 31 liter as well, which is obviously larger. And then they have it with different size camera cubes, and I have the medium camera cube. That way I could also have some space up top. This is not gonna be a video about the backpack itself, so if you are interested in knowing more about it and all the features, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description down below, because I did do a video when I first got the bag just talking about all the features and detail and everything like that. So yeah, go ahead and click on that if you want to know a lot more about the bag. All right. So I'll go ahead and start with the top portion, and it's got a little zipper here with a mesh so you can kind of see through it, which is kind of cool. And this top portion gets a lot bigger if you wanted to, because it's a roll top. Right now I've got it set to as small as it can get, but if I needed to pack even more stuff in here, then obviously I would just extend that top. First thing I've got in here is my GoPro. I mean, I think you should have some sort of action cam. It doesn't have to be a GoPro, but it's just helpful to have something like this where you don't have to stress out as much if it's getting wet or anything like that, because it's kind of what they're built for. Plus they're not nearly as expensive, obviously, as having like your actual camera near water and stuff. And plus you can just kind of stick it on your chest, because I've got this set up on a chest rig. And yeah, I probably could update, because I think this is like a Hero 5. So either get a GoPro or Insta360 or something like that. But it's good for now and it gets the job done. Next I've got my drone right here, and it's got some of my dog's hair on it, but let's see here, let me show you what I've got. This is my Mavic Air, and I mean, it's a really good drone. I know that they've got newer ones now with like the Mavic Air 2 and like the Pro and all these other ones, but for the price I don't know if you can really get a better drone, because it has like pretty much all the newer technology in it, and it looks amazing. It takes 4K video and it's just really good. So I've got no complaints, and I don't plan on upgrading anytime soon, just because, at least for what I do, I don't really need anything better than this one. By the way, I did crash this thing like a few months ago, and it was over 100 feet in the air. I hit a top of a pine tree, and it went all the way down and landed like on a frozen river. So it was crazy, but I had to send it in and get it back and all that, and luckily it got fixed. But I'm gonna make a video pretty soon about that, because it was kind of crazy, and plus I just think it'll be a cool video because I've got the actual footage of it crashing and tumbling all the way down to the frozen river. So if you're interested in that, stick around, look for that in the future on my channel. Looks like, oh, this is just the base for charging the batteries for the drone. So nothing too exciting. And then got a couple extra batteries for the drone. So I've got 3 in total, 1 in the drone and 2 here. The last thing I have in this upper portion is just this lens hood for my 10 to 18 millimeter wide lens. And just so you know, This is like fully packed for me right now. I wouldn't always keep all this stuff in here, Like if I know I'm going somewhere where I'm not gonna use the drone, or maybe they don't even allow drones, then obviously I'll just skip bringing the drone and the batteries and all that, and then that right there makes extra space for whatever, anything else I want, snacks or a hoodie or something. But anyways, so yeah, this is like the fully packed version of what I would normally have. The actual camera cube is this portion, and it has a flap that you can zip shut, but it's secure enough just having the backpack itself shut, and so I don't want to have to open that and then open this again. So I just leave this part unzipped so that way I can just do that. First item is the little dust rocket. I can't remember if that's what they call these, but yeah, it's for getting dust off the lens or the sensor or anything like that. If you don't have one of these, this is definitely a must, because if you don't want to like have to go into deep cleaning and touching your sensor and all that, that's just like a bad idea. I mean, if you have to deep clean it, then make sure you have a proper cleaning kit. But if you just want to get some dust off your sensor, you never want to touch it. And even like touching the glass on your lens can create little smudges and stuff because of the oils on your hand. So you gotta have one of these. I've got a few things here, but I remember there's some pockets and I've got like cables and stuff. This is the actual charging cord and wall plug for the drone, like for the base of the drone. That charges all the batteries. I also have an extra just USB charger. I also have things in this side pocket right here. This is for my actual camera, the charging base for the extra batteries and the battery that's in it, and then just another wall charger. That way if I am traveling or whatever, I can have two different things charging at the same time. So the backpack has some slots here for like a tablet and or a laptop, but I don't really own either right now, and so I do all my editing and all that on my desktop, but I do like to keep things in here. So I have this little pouch that has like extra filters, and I'll keep like some lens caps in here sometimes if they're not on the lens themselves. Or I've got step-up rings. If you don't know what step-up rings are, they're really useful. But yeah, I've got a few different things in here. This is just my case for the variable ND filter that I have. And it's a pretty nice little case. It's that Peter McKinnon one. It's a little pricey, but it is pretty much like as nice as they get. But anyways, it's a good ND filter, and that's the case for that. If you don't know why you would need an ND filter, I'll probably make a video about that too pretty soon. Because they're very, very useful, specifically if you're doing video stuff. So in here I've got some extra propellers for the drone. Hopefully I won't be crashing anymore, but if you do crash, most of the time the only thing that's gonna happen, if it's not like a bad crash, is you're just maybe gonna break a propeller or two, and those are really easy to replace, and when you buy one, they typically will give you extras. These are my ND filters for my drone, which is also very, very useful if you're trying to get any cinematic video. The last thing that I have in these pockets is my little cleaning kit that I have. It's got some wipes, it's got a brush in it, a dust cloth, so it's a good little kit. I forgot to mention that in this upper portion, I typically keep my Aperture MC light, but it's not in there right now because it's that blue light that you see behind me. But it's super nice to have because for one, it can change from like cooler tone to warmer tone, but also it's RGB, so it can be any color that you want. So it's a really handy light to have just because it's so powerful for how small it is and doesn't take up much space. And it also just allows you to do really creative things, like if you want to take some long exposure photos. I went to Joshua Tree recently and I took a couple long exposure photos with it, and they just turned out really cool. And I even kind of messed with them in Lightroom to get a little bit more creative. But it's just fun to have a light like that just for times when you want to goof around or whatever. By the way, if you're interested in getting like any of the gear that you see in my video, I'll go ahead and put links in the description down below. And so you can just click on one of those links and it'll take you straight to that item. I put those links in the description as a convenience to you guys. That way it's real easy for you guys to find those items if you're interested. But also it helps out my channel a lot because if you buy one of those things through my link, I'll get like a really small percentage back. And even though it's not much, it does kind of add up a little bit and helps out my channel. So I would really appreciate that. Now let's get into the best part, at least in my opinion, which is the camera cube. So first off, this is the remote for my drone. So you obviously got to have that to be able to fly it. As I mentioned before, I've kind of got it packed out right now, like the whole backpack. And so I don't always need to carry all these lenses, but they fit in here nice, so I've got them in here. And the first one is the Sony 50mm f1.8, and I really like this lens. I know there's better lenses out there, but as of right now, this is like my portrait lens because it's the most telephoto lens that I own, even though it's not that telephoto, but the 50mm is equal to about 75 on a full frame. The 1.8 obviously allows it to do really good in low light. It has OSS, which is optical stabilization, and when you combine that with the stabilization that's in my camera, then it pretty much eliminates all the little hand jitters or shake that you would get with like other cameras that don't have that. You get that camera shake, and so it just makes for better video. But also if you're using it for photos, it allows you to use a lower shutter speed, and so it just allows even more light in. And so this is just a really good handy lens to have, and it's very affordable. I do want to upgrade eventually. I'll probably be getting the Sigma 56 because I've seen so many good reviews about it. But for now, that lens gets the job done, and the footage it does produce and the photos are plenty good for me. Lens number 2 is the Sony 35 f1.8, and this is a really nice lens to have as well because it's a little bit more useful than the 55mm, where that one I can't really use indoors always because it's a little too tight. And this guy, you can just use it in more situations and still get that cinematic blurry background, and it's good in low light because of the f1.8, and it has the OSS. So this is just really useful for a lot of situations, and it's very small. It's the smallest lens that I own. It's super lightweight. So there's just a lot of positive things about this lens, and yeah, it's a good little one to have in there. Barely takes up any space. This third lens is the last one that I have in here, and it's my ultra wide zoom lens. It's the Sony 10-18 f4. So it's obviously an f4, doesn't go quite as low as the other one, so it's not gonna be as good in low light, but you can still use it at night. I've done plenty of vlogs with it during the day, at night. It's just good for vlogging, for landscape, or even like some creative portraits. If you're inside and you're doing like some real estate photos or something like that, you want something ultra wide. Could be wrong, but I think that this is the widest lens on the APS-C Sony cameras. But the view that you get on this would be equivalent to like a 15mm on a full frame. So it's just a super wide view, and it's just a lot of fun to use. And even though this is the largest lens that I own, it's still really small when it comes to the world of lenses. It's lightweight and compact, and that's part of why I like the APS-C cameras from Sony, is because you get a lot of quality and not too much size and weight, and so you don't get tired. And if you didn't see the theme that I've got going on here, I've got my ultra wide, I've got something a little bit more in the middle, and then I've got something that's a little bit more telephoto. And they all have OSS, and they're all Sony lenses. And the reason I like that is because when you use native lenses with the Sony camera, then you're gonna get the best autofocus. And then obviously having OSS on all of them, I don't have to worry about one of them not being as good as the other when it comes to like video and smooth footage. They're all gonna excel when it comes to that. And then I've got a couple of extra batteries for my camera. And normally, I like this side access pocket, if I can find the zipper. But you can just open this side pocket and just pull the camera out without having to open the entire thing, which is one of the things that I really like about this backpack. But anyways, it's not in here because the camera is on my tripod filming me. And if you're wondering what camera that is, it's the Sony a6600, which to me, I just think it's an outstanding camera. I know it's not full frame, but you'd be surprised at like the video quality and the photos. It's got a lot of the new technology that the newer Sony full frame cameras have, like the better autofocus and the color science, and it's even got the bigger batteries, like these batteries that I just pulled out. They're the like larger batteries that the full frame cameras have, and it's the only Sony APS-C camera that has the full frame batteries. And so the thing just lasts forever. Like I can easily shoot all day on one battery. Unless I'm just taking tons and tons of video, then I'll have to like maybe, switch batteries. But for the most part, this thing just lasts forever. So personally, I love the Sony a6600, and so far I haven't seen a reason to have to upgrade. I probably will like in the future at some point, But as of now, I'm sticking with this guy, and it's fantastic. But we're not done yet. Even though everything looks empty, the little flap here that opens up, it has a pocket and then a few pockets in there. And so I keep some of these little dust cloths to wipe off the lenses if I need to. I have 2 of them. This one, it came with something that I bought, and this one actually came with, I think, a case that I bought for my Nintendo Switch. And I like it because it's Zelda, and I'm obsessed with Zelda, so anyways. And then I also keep my extra memory cards in here. Here we go. Man, that was a struggle for some reason. But yeah, I like to keep 3 extra memory cards. Typically, if I'm just out shooting for the day, I'm not gonna fill the memory card because the one in there is 64 gigabytes, and it's the one that came with the camera, which seems to work really good because I was using a different SanDisk one at one point, and for some reason it was giving me problems. And so anyways, I just started using the one that came with the camera, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever. I think that was just a bad memory card because I've always used SanDisk ones in the past and I've never had issues. So I still have these other SanDisk ones. These 2 are 128 gigabytes. And then I've got one of these fancy Sony Tough cards, which is also 128 gigabytes. So I could travel for a while and I'm not gonna fill up all these cards. I went to Europe and I went to like 3 different countries. This was like a year and a half ago. And I brought like 3 or 4 different cards of 128 gigabytes. And I think I only filled like the 64 gigabyte and then 128 gigabyte, and then I barely filled like just a little percent of the next 128 gigabyte one. So I still had that whole one and another 128 gigabyte, or 2 even, I don't remember. But anyways, yeah, so I'm good on memory cards for now. But it is very important to have some high quality ones because you don't want to have all your footage on some cheapy memory cards and you take this long trip and you come back from Europe and then your footage is gone or something. Like even if just one of the memory cards failed on you, especially if you're not using a pro camera that has 2 card slots. And something that I think not everybody realizes is obviously on a Sony APS-C camera, you only have 1 card slot. It's not like some of the full frame ones. And so people don't always think about the fact that they should really spend more money to invest in higher quality memory cards, because if you are out traveling and then you get back and one of your memory cards fails, you're done. Like you don't have that backup anywhere. So if you're gonna take one tip from this video, is if you only have 1 card slot, spend the extra money to get better memory cards. I know it's not something that people like to spend money on, is the memory cards, when there's like lenses and all this other fun gear that you could spend your money on. But like I said, if you've got 1 card slot and you're out traveling, you don't want to get home and then one of your cards fails and you can't get that footage again because that was in Italy or whatever. And so spend the money and get the better, if you can't get the best memory cards, at least get like the close to the best memory cards. Okay guys, that's everything that's in my camera bag. And if you're still watching at this point of the video, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, then go ahead and hit the like button. It's like a really small, simple thing that you can do that really helps out my channel. So I would really appreciate that as well. And if you guys enjoy this kind of content, like videos about photography or videography, or even just like camera gear reviews, then definitely go ahead and hit the subscribe button because I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos moving forward. But with that being said, thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.